Yeah. My name is Rita Montgomery, and I have the pleasure of having a video interview with Stef Laramie. And we chatted about a week ago, and she had some
Yes.
very interesting stories to tell about her experience with healings that have happened in and around her, and how that has the insights that she's gained from that. And I'm going to turn it over to Steph to share her story.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Rita. I'm actually pretty excited about this, and I do have a couple of stories. About perhaps 8 or 9 years ago, I was working in Vancouver, and for about 4 years, I had a tooth. I didn't have a medical plan, and I'd been a student and coming out, so I had this one tooth that kept blistering up, and I would get these nights that I'd be working, it would be throbbing, pounding, and I would sometimes I might take something for it, and I don't know where this came about. Was perhaps just a time in my, I don't know, learning or recognition of whatever, but I realized that I had to do something about this tooth, and so I started to talk to my healthy teeth. And, this tooth would hurt, and I'd go, "Oh, you strong tooth, you're doing such a great job." And this, "Aren't you doing a great job?" I thought, because I'd sort of come to realize the more we invest in anything, we create that.
Right.
And maybe it was around that time I might have heard about The Secret first, or that might even been later, which certainly validated it. And I discovered that the more I invested in the teeth that were strong, then this tooth wasn't getting the attention. So whatever its message was as a body part to give me information in a certain area of my life, it wasn't working.
So your dialogue with your tooth that was giving you trouble is something that from the dialogue you were able to turn around fairly quickly?
Yes, I held it at bay for about 4 years. It would flare up. We'd have a conversation. I'd go over to all the good teeth. And even now I do such things. If one part hurts, I love squeezing my earlobes because they never hurt. They never care. And so I'll give them this great, little talk about, "Oh, I could just squeeze you so hard and you never mind, you're so strong and so patient," or whatever it is. So quite often my earlobes are my go-to place because they just don't have any much of a pain sensor.
So if just let me make sure I'm understanding you correctly. So you have one area that's in a state of unhappy or being bothered or in pain or whatever.
Yes.
And so you're dialoguing between a part that has no pain, like the earlobe, to the
Yes.
part that has the pain and say, "See how happy the earlobe is?
It,
Wouldn't
it's
you like to
abs-
feel like that too?" Is
It's
that
absolutely true because I think, like if one elbow hurts and the other one doesn't, this elbow that hurts, I usually like to thank it first and say I've got the message because there is a certain gratitude and my body is wanting to convey something. And then on the other hand, I'll go to the other part because I want it to be the model for good health.
right?
I mean,
Giving the focus of your conscious mind or your subconscious mind's attention to that piece or that part of the body that may be having trouble. Have you had any inklings or sense of, well, there's a very concrete message that you're being pointed to, and what do I do about it to be responsive to that?
yeah, you know what? I do, and my last story, I'm going to talk about my brush with cancer as well. And another step on that is I was working in a job that I was really unhappy in. After coming up here, it was a 9 to 5. It was just something that I wasn't very happy in. It was in an office and there wasn't windows and it was like a high go, 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 and it was a well-paying job, but it wasn't a job. And one day I was walking and my right knee just buckled. Something in it just gave, and I thought, wow, I can hardly stand. Where did that come from? And I thought about it for a while because I'd learned to question everything. And I thought, it's my right knee. That's kind of I think somehow my body is telling me that I'm not walking a path. There's something about, because my legs are to carry me forward to, we've suddenly shifted from being a 5 and 2 week, which is Monday to Friday. Thank God it's the weekend. Oh no, it's Sunday. Here we go again. To a 7-day week, which is very lovely. Or a 52-week year, or whatever it is, and we move in and out of what we want to do and need to do as it's required. And I noticed that my knee is a lot more relaxed. It feels stronger. And as we get stronger in this path that we're doing, my knee is getting stronger. So that's a few years past. So I'm going to jump to the story. My biggest teacher, the one that my skeptic was really very suddenly silenced. So when we moved up to the Okanagan here, my mom is a redhead and, freckly, fair skin. And when they moved up here, she got a skin cancer and had to have a little chunk taken out of her nose, and because of that. And so when we moved up here about 6 or 7 years ago, I was really aware that although I'm not a redhead, I do have that freckly fair skin, and I thought a lot about the cancers and the melanomas and the pieces that are advertised and we're warned about, and protect yourself. So when I came up, I thought, I had this sort of thinking about, I wonder if I'll get cancer, or no, I don't want cancer, and I'm thinking cancer. My unconscious doesn't really care whether I want it or don't want it. It's just going, oh, we're investing a lot of talk and story time, feeling time around this thing called cancer, so it must be important.
Right.
That's what I kind of came to believe.
Right.
So I think we moved here in September or October, and it was in December, and Dan and I had just started our music career at that time, and we had a little gig going on. And I remember coming into it just before I noticed just, some here on my chest that I had this little red pimply thing appear. And I was like, oh, well, these things come and go. But this one didn't go, and it started to grow as the rings in water when a pebble drops in, and it just grows out everywhere at once. It was kind of ridged. And when we did this gig, I remember thinking, wow, this thing's like getting to be the size of a dime, and it's just moving out, and it's starting to get itchy, and it feels angry somehow. That was the emotion that I put towards it. So after that, I thought, okay, and I kept sort of pulling up my shirt because it looked looked creepy. So I made an appointment, went to the doctor. He had a look at this thing that was started, and I was starting to feel a little nervous about it. And he very quickly, like I said, he named a cancer name for it, some kind of melanoma thing. I don't care to remember or hold that information. And set me up. He said, let's get you into a specialist as quick as we can. Well, quick as we can worked out to be about 3 months that I would have to wait. However, I just thought, okay, well, I'm going to have faith that there'll be enough time. And so we went home, and I kept looking at it, and it just seemed like it. Like I said, it had this angry feeling, and it was just growing and growing, and I was feeling more fearful by the day. Right. And I guess it got up to around, I don't know, nickel or quarter size. I felt like it was a quarter size. And, this little spot had so much power over me. Yeah. So, and I'd look at it, and I'd go into the mirror, and I'd go, oh, yeah. Oh, boy, it's still there. Oh, worrying it, nurturing it. And one day I went in there and had a look, and I went, whoa, wait a minute. You have skills. You have a way. And I honestly believe that it had come to warn me to be extra careful in the sun, to let me know that there was a possibility and that it was up to me. And so I realized I need to be thanking this, because it's come to support me, and it's not like something outside me. This is me. This is part of my system. Right. I called my body packaging for a long time because it felt separate from me, and I think I even said that earlier. But really, it's a system. It's my system. So this was the way to get my attention, that I would need to pay attention when I'm out in the sun in this weather, whatever area, whatever it is that I needed to do.
Right.
So I looked at it and I went, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I said, I really appreciate that you've come and given me this message, and I know what to do now. You can actually go. I don't need you anymore, and thank you so much. And then I would just imagine clear skin, and even though it was right there, I'd kind of peripherally look away and imagine my blending my better skin into the skin that was there, and sort of pulling in those images. Yeah. And I would do this, maybe half a dozen times a day. And it was so interesting. It had been growing quickly, quite rapidly. And for about 3 days, it just seemed to stop. And I just kept thanking it and imagining it and offering as much gratitude and love I could and appreciation. And one day I thought, I think it looked a little smaller. I just kept it up, gave it every outcome of belief that I could that it was done and that we were working together as a team, and that I really did appreciate it. And it once it started to reverse, it just got smaller and smaller, and then it was great because I could say, look how small it's getting, it's going away. Thank you. And
you
then
had the confirmation that you were looking for to keep you on a roll, right?
I did,
Yeah.
and then with that, I invited that certain passion and belief that this indeed was possible, and it was happening. And so when we finally did get in to see the specialist, I sat down and I almost felt a little sheepish going in. I could see this shadow of something there, but really my skin had returned. It was nice and clear, and when the specialist looked at it, he was in there looking, and he's going, well, I don't really know what's going on here, but he says, it's fine, there's nothing there. And I told him what had done. And I don't know if he believed me or really it was at that point. I really didn't care. I was so happy to hear that there was nothing there, and he would keep my file open for, 4 or 5 months or something as something should return. And I just remember thinking, well, I'm not coming back. You're a nice fella, but I don't really care to see you again, and we don't have anything to talk about. And I got out in the car and told Dan, and we just had a little cry. We were just both so happy about it. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And so very often now, when things come in, whether it's an unsupportive thought or something on my body that I'm kind of wondering about, I thank everything, because that's part of my system. And
it's like this moment in time where you allow yourself to come into deeper layers of your understanding of what the meanings were with things, and again, I'm not sure. Do we need to know the meaning of it, or is it enough just to make a declaration?
Well, what? I think for me, the meaning of it or not meaning of it, I think I had put out a fear about something that could happen. My body listened to that fear, probably didn't care that much that there was fear attached to it, although the fear gave it importance because I had strong emotion. Right? It gave it power, and that added to the strength of the belief. So once I redirected an energy in it, I added a new feeling, which was gratitude and love, and I invested in a different outcome. And I just believed it. I just was going to be that outcome, and so that's what I believe happened. And very often people will wear big posters or wear big posters, so they'll wear their ribbons or they'll wear things about a specific illness or ailment. And I don't mind going in and walking for, something. I don't even want to say the words. They'll have things for cancer and, like learn about this. And I think, I don't want to wear any of those ribbons, and it's not that I don't care about the people, but I don't want to give it any more value or power than it has. And we all gather together, and so often there's a secondary gain.
You're right. That's a good observation. There is a secondary gain. You have this whole social community, a camaraderie, a group of friends that gather around that issue, and then they become your support system. And so then there can be an investment in the problem instead of an investment in, well, I think I'll just let this problem go. So that's a really interesting observation.
And even employment for some people, I've had cancer, and like for some people, cancer is my life.
We have a medical and pharmaceutical establishment that's heavily invested in procedures that, if we could do it faster and easier and painlessly, and nobody made any money, are they going to be behind it? So that's not a small consideration. That's a pretty important consideration.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do practice beliefs as groups, and there's a whole bunch of learning to be made in it. And sometimes what happens is like you say, somebody will gain power, or they'll gain finances, or they truly believe that theirs is the way. Yeah. Regardless of it, then that does nurture it and keep it alive. And on the wonderful flip side of it is everything has an equal opposite as far as I'm concerned. That's balance is two sides. So anything that isn't working right needs to have an equal opposite. And I think the solutions are always in the not problem. We're more likely to find the solution if we get out of the problem. So I just won't get up to my hip waders in cancer or anything else. I just
I love
won't
your
do it.
expression, I won't get up to my hip waders.
Well, I recently had a friend who was diagnosed, and I very often will say to people, you know what, I'm sorry to hear that you're experiencing this, and I'm just going to tell you right now, I won't invest in that part of it. I will only see you as healed. I will only experience you as a well person, and whatever I can do to support that, I'll shine whatever light and love your way, and I'm just going to always think of you as healthy and active and the way that I've known you. For the most part, people say thanks. I really appreciate that, because they want to be well, and people want to be healthy and they want to be strong, and when you hold that place for them, you're holding a place of possibilities. That is a place to go. And yes, and I believe too that if a person is going the medical route and they have unwavering belief that this is the way that's going to work for them, then why wouldn't it work?
Sure.
I think it's so often people being nervous or fearful or feeling out of control that they're going, well, I don't really know where to go, but the Western medicine's been around forever, and I watch all those ads on TV, and there's things going on, and and the other person is like, they might just, there's all kinds of alternative medicines out there that in the past has been called quackery, and we're learning now that there's the power in the duck. It doesn't matter. And so people are moving towards those alternative healings. So I don't think it's the choice of who you want to work with. I believe the choice is about what you believe.
I think so,
and
too.
How you believe. And people that are more awake and have had more experience, a stronger inner strength, or there's a lot of people that belong to a religious group or a specific faith system that they do have strong faith, and will and can heal from such things very quickly.
To those who aren't religious, you could just say that the power of the mind. It doesn't matter if you call it prayer or meditation or a modality. It's a focus of consciousness, right? And
I absolutely agree with that, and an intention.
Yeah.
Like you say, a focus of a consciousness and an intention of an outcome. And when done with those feeling, that passionate, lit up parts of ourselves, we're just like these magical laser beams that can just electrify something into a whole new outcome.
I think so too.
Ow!
Well, I think that's the stories that you're going to share with me. Am I right?
Yes, I believe so. It's
okay. And I enjoyed all the other little discussion too. That was very fun.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Stef, for sharing your story. And we'll be in touch soon.
Well, we look forward to it.
Yeah, me too.